390 Wagon Master here. All right, before I put this away, I want to show you an oldie but a goodie. This is my old Kenwood TS850S AT. AT means that it has a built-in antenna tuner. You could get this two ways, with or without. I think if you got it without, you saved roughly $250. I bought this back in 1991 for about $16.85, I believe. I also bought the matching power supply that went to this, and that was just about $300. I think it was like $299 or $309 or something. But anyway, that was kind of spendy for me back then. But I've kept this radio because it's basically outperformed pretty much every ham radio I've had, either before this or after this, including even one of my new the new Yaesu, the 991A. I like these because it's analog front end. That's why I've kept it. Receivers on these are great. These Kenwood 850s are really known, and the 950s as well, are really known for their good front end, analog front end. And I've never really spent too much time with a 450, but the TS 450s are really good HF rig as well. So look for the 450, the 850, the 950. These are known for having leaky capacitor issues. And so you can kind of find them on the cheap. You know, I've seen these things like 500, 700 bucks. You want to make sure the display works. If they don't, you know, try to get it considerably cheaper. But that's generally what happens. The display board will have a bunch of old school, early generation surface mount electrolytic capacitors. They start leaking and they eat the traces on the double-sided boards. So you'll get these things acting up, and it'll read all funky. Like all your segments will light up all at the same time, and you'll lose a section sometimes, or just half of them will come on. It's pretty crazy. But when that happens, it's on that board back here. I want to say they called it the DDS board, but I don't remember. I'm probably off on that. So anyway, they're easy to work on. I've done a couple terrible videos on that subject, but they're easy to work on. So if you're not afraid of a soldering pen, these are a fun little radio to own. And because of the front end, for a modern all mode general coverage transmitter, this is a great radio. These were also popular back in the day for hi-fi SSB. I did hi-fi SSB with this for a while. I had a full DBX rack, all the processors in the studio mic and all that stuff, if you want that whoop 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 sound. But I'm not into that. That got old very quickly, and a good friend of mine, old Marky Mark, said, just plug a damn mic into it. And you know what? Mark was right. Anyway, they'll do all of that. A lot of features. I'm not going to go over them all, but I'm going to tell you a couple of my favorites. The AIP, the Advanced Intercept Point, if I remember that correctly. This is like a great noise buffering stage that really calms down your noise level, especially in like an old 70-year-old neighborhood like I happen to live in, with above ground power lines that are 70-something years old. So I like the AIP. I really like the Slope Tune. I use the Slope Tune high cut quite a bit. One of my favorite features of this radio. I usually knock that down to about 3 to 4 o'clock. That seems to be my favorite listening level. I'll put the AIP on. I don't run any sort of, there's no preamp in there, but it's attenuation. Oh, it has a workable all-mode squelch. Isn't that awesome? Now, it's kind of a low squelch threshold, but it's pretty cool. And as you can see, the Noise Blanker one shaft here is broken, and this sucker's got many miles on it. This was back in my utilitarian usage days, I guess you could say. I thrashed. I was young and stupid, and I thrashed everything. I would throw this in the back of my Taurus. I'd just wrap a blanket on it and literally grab it by the handle and just chuck it in there. I was just so rough on stuff. But you know, my theory was back then, look, I'm not collecting this stuff. I'm using it to use it, and I don't want to be afraid to use it. So I put some, you know, some chunks in it. There's a little dent on the top back there. This is not a showroom piece. But electrically, it's great. Cosmetically, yeah, not so much. Anyway, I've only got a few hours of use time on this since summer of 2019 when I originally packed this up to move. So I decided to bring it out again and fire it up. And I've been running this on my newly refurbished Drake MS4 speaker. This is a good combination. But I've been running this now for 3 weeks in all modes. I put it through its paces. I do everything. When you put it from one mode to another, it actually energizes it. So like right now I'm sending, and this is fairly generic description here, but generally like on a CB, you put it in lower sideband, 12 volts goes to the lower sideband section of the radio. The AM has no power to it. The upper sideband has no power to it. You put it in upper, you're running that. So that's what I usually do. It's just something I've done since I was a kid. I run all the modes. And just let it percutute, especially on a radio that hasn't been on for years. So back in about 2007, the capacitor started messing up, and I lost the screen. So I fixed all those. Done a couple really crappy videos on that, and then not too long after that, the audio amplifier went in this, and that was another electrolytic capacitor, a standard can style though on that one, and not a surface mount. But anyway, something about servicing this radio that's kind of interesting. If you're the kind of person that's not afraid to poke around in a radio and get a soldering iron hot and try to fix something, this is a great radio to learn how to just learn about the innards of a ham radio. This is not a scary unit to really bite into, in my opinion. I look at it this way: if I can do it, you guys can do it. But this has been a great radio. I love it. It's got about 3 weeks of flawless use on it. It works great, so I'm going to put it back away running. And I'm really happy, and I'll probably bring it out in the wintertime and use it again or something like that. It's just not a radio. I just don't really like to use ham radios, especially on CB band. So I'm not a fan of the receivers. Again, this is one of the better ones that I've had, and that's why I still own it. In fact, honestly, if it wasn't for my modern 991 up there, having 6 meters all mode and 2 meter all mode, I probably would have already gotten rid of it, because that is no match for this puppy. This puppy will outperform any new Yaesu ICOM 7300 or whatever. This has an analog front end. I know this is subjective. This is going to upset some people, but hear me out. This is an analog front end. You and we hear in analog. We don't want to use DNR and have it sound like this drowning underwater sound that those do. We want to take out some noise on an analog rig like this. We hit the AIP. We tailor the slope tune a little bit. Maybe we do the filtering, right? Maybe we'll do that. We have many ways to adjust here that's easy. There's no menu-driven junk or any of that crap. This is just a straightforward radio. This radio has been gone through the great Cooney. I'm not even sure if Cooney's still alive, to be honest with you, but a really nice gentleman that lived up about 3.5 miles from my dad's house in Paulsville, Washington. I took this to his house. He went through this, did a full, complete alignment on it, and brought it up to spec 100%. I mean, it was a top-notch job. He was a technician for ICOM, but worked on Kenwoods as well, and very highly respected tech. And Cooney did just a beautiful job on this. But yeah, this is a heck of a radio. So again, these are on the used market. They're out there. They're not too expensive, but if you want a good ham radio or want to play around with a general coverage radio here that's got a good front end on it for a ham radio, don't rule out the old TS850s. Again, they're problematic with those capacitors, but it's kind of fun. I don't mind working on this stuff. It's kind of fun. Anyway, all right, you guys leave questions or comments down below, and thanks for watching. Cheers.